Howdy doodly, everyone. My name is Riley Pearson, and welcome back to the Pearson Podcast. What episode is it, you might be asking? Boom! 59. Now, right off the bat, let me explain that this mug, one of my favorite mugs, it's hard to say I've got a favorite. Yeah, you don't care. It's Creed, my favorite office character. Oh, you're paying way too much for worms, man. Who's your worm guy? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Got a fresh cup of Keurig brew here, and we're going to be talking about some interesting things here. Now, let me take a sip, and then I'm going to tell you what we're going to be talking about here. Got that black coffee because I'm doing the intermediate fasting. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. Now, before I talk about what we're talking about, let me say that I don't have basically anything planned for this episode. Now, you might be asking yourself, Riley, how do you know we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff? Because if you don't even have anything planned, well, I'll answer that with this phrase of words. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but I'm going to try not to waste your guys' time, therefore talk about something interesting. You know what I mean? But I do have one thing that I did write down that I really want to talk about, and that is all the times that I have almost died. Excluding... Well, I'll get into that. So I'm going to be talking about all the times I've almost died. And I only wrote down a few, and hopefully, as I'm going through, I remember more. But that's the gist of it. I'm also going to I was going to say briefly get into my NFT haul for this week, but I don't want to. I've been starting the podcast with that, and I feel like the majority of people probably don't give a ding dong about that, so I'm going to try and remember to do that at the end. So I'm actually going to write that down. Do NFT haul at the end. Do NFT haul at the end. Alright, I actually had a decent flipperonium yesterday, so I'll get into that. I had something else to talk about before I went into something fun today. And this has only happened a few times in my life, where you go to sleep, not thinking anything spectacular weather-wise, and you wake up, and there's 6 inches of snow outside. I thought I was straight tripping, like legitimately. It was such a weird feeling because, it's February 21st, so it's not like it's spring or something, but I don't even think it said anything on the weather app that it was going to snow or anything. It must have, but I don't know. It was crazy. It was crazy. Did not expect that. It was literally like, woke up like every other morning and walk out my door, look outside, and it was just so bright. I thought it was just like, when you wake up, you look outside and it's so bright, everything looks white. I thought it was that for a second. I was like, oh, this is weird. But then my eyes kind of focused. I'm like, that's snow? It was so weird. So weird. So, that means it's going to be a magical day. So before we get into anything, I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. Hope all of your dreams and wishes are coming true. And if they haven't come true just yet, give it some time, and I'm sure they will. I guess something that I keep forgetting to shout out is my Patreon. If you guys are interested in supporting me even further than just watching the show, which is by all means more than enough, then consider going to the description and signing up for Patreon, which basically just gives me a little bit of money. It helps me through life, basically. It helps me. The big thing right now is helps me for a travel fund going all over the world, recording videos and everything like that. So that is the biggest thing it does, because I don't splurge. I don't spend money on coffee or food or, fast food or anything like that. I have very, very minuscule bills. To be exact, my bills are my phone bill, Photoshop, and Adobe Music. Or not Adobe Music, Apple Music, which I'm going to be canceling the Apple Music because it's $10 a month. Yes, it's super nice, but again, trying to cut off the fat, literally and metaphorically. Oh yeah, and also I'm going to talk about the intermittent fasting. Intermittent. At the end as well. So yeah, that would be absolutely amazing if you guys could do that. But if don't feel pressure at all, because just watching the show is by all means more than enough. Another thing I wanted to say before we get into the juice is I was listening back to the section of the previous podcast, and I was messing with the mic, and that was super annoying. Apologize for that. I will not touch the mic anymore. Okay, so let's get into all the ways that I have almost died, ladies and gentlemen. That's all fun. So I guess something that I just thought about right now is I almost died at birth. I actually forgot what happened at birth, but something happened to where I almost died, and maybe I'll give my mom a jingle real quick and ask her, because I'd be very curious to know exactly what happened. You know what I mean? Let's get it from the source itself, because she was actually there, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, she was there for my birth. If she doesn't answer, she'll probably call me back, and then hopefully I can remember. Nope. Okay. So, it was something that happened at birth. I forgot exactly what it was, but I will try and get her to tell me by the end of the episode. So like I said, I wrote down a few, and hopefully I can remember more as I continue to talk. So basically, the first one is slipping down a mountain. Now it's more of slipping down a cliff, if you will, because mountain seems like I'm like doing a black sheep type thing, or like, but no, it was just a cliff, and it wasn't like a straight up and down cliff. It was a slanted cliff. So basically, let me get to the story. Me and my friends were at a cool coastline spot near our neck of the woods, and we basically, what we used to do all the time is just go to locations, get drunk, hang out, and that was the activity. Sounds like a pretty fun activity for me, or to me. At least when I was that age. So we went to this place, drank, hung out, Super fun. I always had a blast doing that. And then we were walking back, and this is it's kind of difficult to explain. The trail itself is very steep. It's almost, I mean, this particular place there was no trail. We just had to climb up this kind of cliff face, and then it's basically like a cliff shooting down, and then at the bottom is a railroad, and then a beach. So there's kind of like 3 little levels: beach, railroad, cliff. So we were climbing up the cliff, and this cliff in particular in this location was probably about. We didn't go up the entire thing. We paused to just take a breather. We were probably about. Let me try and not over exaggerate. We were probably up about. It's hard to say, 20 feet maybe. Nothing insane, but easily, could break some bones. Oops, sorry about that. Hit the mic. So easily could break some bones. You know what I mean? So basically, we're taking a breather, and I'm so dumb. I was like, to my friend Sergey, I was like, Sergey, you want to say something sick? And there was this tree that was kind of coming not straight out the mountain or the cliffside, but like kind of at an angle. So it looked like, something you could swing. I was going to basically, long story short, I was going to jump onto it, swing, grab onto it, swing, and swing around, and then land on the trail or wherever we were standing. In my head, I'm like, there's no way this can go wrong. And I don't know what went wrong. I really have no idea. It almost, looking back at it, it's almost like my hands just didn't grip. Or maybe I missed it entirely. I don't know. But basically, I missed it entirely. Missed it entirely, or my hands didn't grip, something like that. And I started sliding, and I knew immediately what had happened. I'm like, okay, crap. I have to make all 4 points of contact on this mountain, or else I'm going to tumble and land on my dome. And, so I stuck my feet and hands into this cliffside. Luckily, it was a mixture of dirt and rock. So I basically just went, just slid down probably about, I don't know, 8 to 10 feet, something like that. And unfortunately, this cliff was, it slanted for, like the 10 to 8 feet, and then it dipped in. So when I at least I slowed myself down, and then when it dipped in, I obviously couldn't slide anymore. So I fell, and honestly, by the grace of God, by just the luck, I just landed perfectly. If I want to get even more specific, there was these 2 kind of rocks that came to a kind of crevasse kind of area, and my feet just kind of perfectly landed right in that little area. Was not hurt at all. At all. Completely fine, just landed. I was like, ooh, whoa. That was pretty crazy. And, up there, I don't know what they thought, but I honestly, this is kind of a blur too, because I was drunk. and I'm not sure if they were like, if they yelled, "You okay?" or whatever, or maybe I yelled first. I don't know. But that probably was pretty traumatic. And come to think of it now, it's funny because my friend Sergey actually took a picture of me looking over that edge. I wonder if I can find that exact edge. And it was a picture of me calculating, I could do this. Oh man, that is, oh man. But that's the thing. It's like I easily could have, when I did the 4 points of contact, I easily could have slipped up there, flipped down head first, you know, even just landed wrong and twisted an ankle. That would have been like bare minimum. Nothing. I mean, I had the advantage of growing up in nature a lot, doing a lot of hikes, doing a lot of climbing, rock climbing, regular climbing, tree climbing. I know my way around nature and everything like that, but still, it's like only so much can prepare you for moments like that. And yeah, that was intense. So that was that story. Another one, which is going down a hill on a longboard, which, so me and my friend Sergey, my good friend from last episode story, which I haven't hung out with him in a while, sending positive vibes to him. Hope he's doing swell. Completely froze for a second. I'm a cyborg and I completely froze. Okay, so going down a hill on a longboard. I used to longboard a lot, and it's kind of like a section of my life when I kind of forgot. It's funny to think too, is because I had bad vision. It was basically the same vision I had right now without my glasses. Like, I can see things up close perfectly fine, but far away, forget it. Like, it's to the point where it's not like complete blurriness where I'm going to run into a wall or something, but I can't. Edge detection, no way. Reading things, no way. But it's to the point where I could drive fine, like where in my town at least, because I grew up in a single town my entire life and can basically drive there with my eyes closed. But driving other places, no way. So yeah, that's a part of this story that I completely forgot. I did this with my bad vision. So yeah, there was a point in time where I longboarded all the time, and me and my friend Sergey, we got really good. Like, to the point where we could go really fast down hills. We were perfectly fine. Yeah, we did some crazy, crazy stuff. Yeah, I still have my longboard as well. I don't know where it is, but I still have it, and it was nice. I loved longboarding. But now, but I'm not sure if this was the final straw or what. But basically, there's this supermarket near our house, and behind the supermarket is kind of like this walking trail, and we were longboarding to. Not sure what we were doing in this location or what, but we basically were just longboarding, and we haven't longboarded in this location before. And we saw this hill, and we were like, "You want to do this hill?" And we were like, "Yeah, sure." We don't know what's down there, anything. We know nothing about this location at all. We might have walked there once or twice, but we don't remember it all. So we just see this hill, and it's steep, like most hills. When you look at them, if you've ever gotten out a hill on your bike or any sort of vehicle that's not a car, you're always a lot of the time you look at the hill and you're like, yeah, it's not that steep, and then you start going down, and you're like, holy crap, this is actually pretty steep. This is one of those hills where you looked at it and you're like, this is steep, without even having to go on it. And then, of course, when we actually went on it, we realized it was a lot more steep than we even thought. So this was one of the this is a spur of the moment thing. We were like, we literally probably just stopped at the top of it. We're like, you want to go down this? Didn't even barely even pause. We're like, yeah, let's go. Boom, boom, we go. I went. We both went in at the same time, but I was a little slightly ahead, and Sergey was behind me. And we go down, and we instantly catch crazy amount of speed, going, down this hill. And okay, so this is the first pickle that was thrown into this story. At the very bottom of this hill, and by the way, it's a walking trail. It is a concrete, asphalt type trail, and it is probably about 9 feet wide or something, so pretty decently wide. A car could drive on it, but cars weren't allowed on it. And it was very dark. It was a very dark looking path. And, excuse me. So we're going down, and and right when we get to the bottom, we realize that probably a 10 by 10 feet section of right at the bottom of this hill was the walkway was broken up by roots going underneath the path. So it wasn't like the roots were sticking out. The roots had pushed up the concrete, like you've seen, on the sidewalk or anywhere. So it was just like super bumpy immediately. So I don't know. It was probably luck, but I basically got my balance and rode through it perfectly. And I was like, heck yeah, and screaming back to Sergey. And at this point, I thought he was behind me, but he wiped out there. Which lucky to him. So I'm going down this probably about, 30 yards. I'm cruising. So it's basically, this is the point. This is the trail to our understanding to this point. Giant cliff, and this steep hill was probably, it wasn't long. It was probably like 25 feet of a little dip. So it was like, boom, dip, gain a lot of speed, over the bumps, 10 feet of bumps, and then smooth sailing for about 30 yards. So it was about, probably about 20 yards of straight, and then 10 yards of a little hill, and then right at the bottom of this little hill was a curve to the left. I'm like, okay, crap, we do curves like this all the time. It was dang near a 90-degree turn. It was a 90-degree turn, but it wasn't like a direct angle. It was curved. So I was like, okay, this is fine. I do this all the time. We do turns like this all the time. And man, talk about unlucky. I'm going down. I'm hitting the apex of it. If you're not familiar with the apex, then don't worry about it. I'm hitting the turn perfectly, and just incredibly unlucky. And it was a turn where you couldn't see around the corner. Basically, long story short, is I've got crazy amount of speed, hitting the apex of the turn. I see around the corner, and boom, there's an entire family. There's a mom, a dad, and a child. And I think they had a dog too. I'm like, oh God, I have to wipe out right here. So this is going to be hard to explain. So kind of envision with me. I'm going down this hill. It's a left-hand turn, very, very sharp turn. And it's like a turn where right after the hill, you have to turn immediately. So it's down, after you go down the dip, you have to turn immediately. And to the left, it's a bunch of trees, so you can't see around the turn. So I had, in a split second, as soon as I was able to see the family, instead of turning left, I just had to go straight, right off of the turn. And sadly, there was probably a 10-foot cliff there, but it was filled with very thick, those thick, really tall, thin trees. And I was wearing sunglasses as well, which might have helped. But basically, long story short, as I went straight off, instead of turning left, I went straight off that turn and basically directly hit a tree right to the dome. Boom! Tree to the dome, slid down. My glasses broke. I actually completely forgot I had glasses on. I got on, I got out, I grabbed my board, and I climbed up the hill, and it was like a family that didn't even speak English. They were Hispanic. And I'm like, oh, whoa. And I climb out, I'm like, whoa. And they're like, I think they didn't even give a crap, honestly. It seemed like it. They were like, they basically were like, you okay? And then kept walking. I'm like, yeah, thanks a lot. And basically my injury was my face was just scratched. It wasn't even that bad. I just had scratches like right here, like right along the eye. Like the tree probably just hit to the left of my eye, and then that was probably it. And then I just slid down the little bit of hill, and Sergey he came down the hill afterwards, and I was like disoriented, and it probably looked super funny to him. Man, that was, and I completely left my sunglasses. I completely forgot about them. And it was funny, me and Sergey went back a few months later, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure I lost my sunglasses there. We went back, we grabbed them, and they were there. It's funny. And I actually, the sunglasses were perfectly fine. I took them, I continued to wear them for a while after that. So, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, you couldn't have died from that. I'm just saying, basically what I'm saying is just all my injuries that, I'm not even saying all my injuries, I'm just saying all the injuries that could have gone very, very south, Sorry if you can hear my stomach going, brrr. Yeah, so. Okay, so I've got 2 more written down, and hopefully I can think of some other ones. And I'm excluding any sort of almost dying from substances, because that's getting a little bit too, you know what I mean? A little bit too. I will keep those kind of stories for later in my podcast career. And you might be saying, what did he just say? And that's perfectly understandable. I said it to make you think that on purpose. Moving on. So, this one is kind of not a trick thing, but it's like, it's one of those times where it's like, that could have gone horribly wrong so many times. So basically, I used to work at this restaurant, which was decently close to my house, actually, and it was on top of this hill. And if you guys have a job and you drive home from that job in the same route every day from work, you probably know that you're pretty good at that route. You know what I mean? And I was young and I was dumb, super dumb. Literally, it's like I used to. These were one of the. Oh, my mom's calling. Hey, Mom, you're on the podcast.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I called you because I wanted to know. I'm doing a podcast where I'm talking about all the times I almost died, and I remembered that apparently I almost died or something during birth or right after birth. What happened there?
It was just a really scary birth because you had a very huge head.
Oh, that's
and,
it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, well, you had a big head, but then your shoulders got stuck. So that's kind of the problem with the shoulders.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was something after for some reason. Like there was nothing else.
Well, when we almost drowned, when I was pregnant with Casey.
Okay, that is.
That's really traumatizing memory.
Do you want to tell that story or no?
Go ahead and rehash things right.
All right. Well, okay, rightio. Well, thank you. Just wanted to call you for that.
You just wanted to call and stir up those great memories?
Yeah, it's good to talk about things like that, I think.
No, I mean, those are the two things that come to mind. Just it was a really scary birth, and then the thing when I was pregnant with Casey. And that was really scary. That's why I don't like swimming, so.
Oh, okay, rightio. Do you want to tell that story or no?
I'll just summarize it, I guess.
Okay.
And I was about, I want to say I was maybe 5 months pregnant with Casey. So you would have been I don't know, a year and a half old. I can't remember how far apart you guys were, but. And so I had taken you to this mom group, this mommy and me group. Kill me, right? But I wouldn't go to those now. But, we went to this mommy and me group where we were all swimming with our little babies that were around the same age. And I had you in a little floaty thing. And you were so cute. Oh, I just remember you had a cute little hat. And then just remember you after this, Riley. So you're going to get little memories of your cuteness.
I appreciate it.
But anyways, and you were just having such a great time. And so anyways, I'm like, well, we were in the shallow end of the pool. It was just a regular kind of pool. It wasn't like the YMCA or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took you out of the floaty thing, and I laid you on your back, and then I was floating on my back, and we were just really relaxed, right? I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have too big of a belly at that time, but so then what happened was you were floating on my belly on your back, and I was on my back floating, and we were both just really relaxed, and then all of a sudden, I kind of opened my eyes and realized we were in the deep end.
Oh, wow.
And I was and all of a sudden I just go, and I totally panicked. And your body, my body tensed up, your body tensed up, and we both just went shooting down.
Oh, wow.
And it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And so here I am, and I'm trying, I'm panicking. It was a terrible, terrible moment.
Mm.
But anyway, so then I'm trying to push you up and out. And I can't get up. I couldn't touch the bottom, and I couldn't get you up.
Oh, wow.
So I had just enough. And then here's all these moms no, sitting on the side of the thing while we're drowning.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I just push you up, and your little hand grabs the side, and then I'm able to claw myself up to the side. And then I just remember being oh my God, we almost just died. It was terrible.
Wow.
And then after that, I never, ever wanted to go in the water after that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it was really hard for me, too, because I knew that I needed to have you take swim lessons.
Mm.
And after that, you would have thought that I would have been oh, I'll take you to get swim lessons just so. I mean, you can start getting them, I think, when you're 3 or something. But I just couldn't do it. I don't think that you had swim lessons until you were I don't know, 8 or 9. I'm not sure. You were older, though. And it got to the point where I think Dad was the kids need to know how to swim.
Mm-hmm.
And I was yes, they do. So that was hard, but the best thing, of course, was to teach you how to swim.
Mm.
And so then you got lessons at the Y, and you guys are really good swimmers now. But
yeah, I was going to say.
I like to go in the water.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, yeah, it worked out. Me maybe doing it a little earlier because now I'm perfectly comfortable in the water, and I am a really good swimmer. So it's not like it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it scarred me. You know, like some. I don't know. I feel like that. Yeah, I don't know. Worked out.
Yeah, it did. I mean.
But yeah, that is a very scary story.
Yeah, it was a really scary story. But anyways, no. Yeah, everything was fine after that. But yeah.
Can you think of any other? I just finished the story where me and Sergey crashed during longboarding. Remember when I came home from that accident?
I do. You were kind of beat up.
Yeah.
But I can't really remember. Did you have like something on your face?
Yeah, it was around my eye. Yeah. Can you think of any other stories of times I almost died?
Well, not that I'm privy to. I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, I think. I mean, the car crash, but that one wasn't.
True.
That one wasn't. That was poor Josiah. Oh my gosh. Can I just tell you? Because I don't know if you know this or not.
Yeah.
So I get this phone call, and I'm like, he's like, Lisa? Yeah, this is Josiah. Hi, JoJo. Okay, so Riley's fine. What's going on? Well, we were in a car crash. What? Yeah, he can't get out of the car right now. Because, and I'm like, what? He probably doesn't even remember this. He was in shock. But anyways, that was, and then he hands you the phone. So then I was talking to you on the phone, and I just remember you telling me that you like couldn't move your head, and like something about, and I was just like, of course I wanted to like run right over there, but I wish that they would have just taken you in the ambulance instead of like.
I know that. Well, that was my fault. That was entirely my fault. I said no to it because I thought it would just cost like. For some reason, I had in the mind it just always costs like $1,000 or something when you go in it. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it did, but
it's something. Still, well, it costs like $100, I think, if you don't have insurance or whatever. But it's like obviously I should have. Plus, it's like that's the kind of crap they need to teach you in school.
If you get into a crash.
Yeah.
And you go in the ambulance.
Yeah.
No, I think for me it was more just like they can stabilize your neck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, totally. But no, I think everything worked out. It just was. That was a really scary time.
Right. But, yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, I'll tell you what. You have really, really great friends because when we got, I just adore those boys. I'll tell you what, we get over to the hospital, like we show up at the hospital and like JoJo, Sergey, Alex, like they're all there. And then like even some of the parents were there.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
yeah, just as mom,
mom,
sisters.
I think one of the other guys' moms, I think maybe Sergey's mom was there. I can't remember. All I know is that everybody was just there, like, so supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got really lucky with my friends.
I agree. Well, and right now is where you should insert that one picture that I took of you on graduation night of all you guys together. I love that picture. You know, the only one that's missing is Dallas, which I hate that Dallas wasn't in that picture, but you know that picture of the 5 of you guys? I love that picture.
Yeah, that was a really cool picture, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for sharing.
Thanks for having me on the podcast. If I think of any other near-death experiences, I'll give you a call back.
Okay, yeah, please do.
All right, baby.
All right.
All right, love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was nice. Got a cameo from Ma. So, as I was saying, drive. Oh yeah, and I would share that picture, but it would. I'm not sure if my friends want to be in it. Plus, it would probably expose where I live. But just it was on a graduation night. We were all standing in front of my house, and we were just. It was just a really good picture because we were all just filled with joy and basically the beginning of our actual lives, because school is just a waste of time if you think about it. Yeah, I just shout out to my friends because I feel like I've slightly. I feel like I've slightly. I don't know. It's difficult to say because I haven't hung out with them in a long time, and it sucks because it's not like I don't like them in any way. That's for dang sure. I mean, we've had our ups and downs, but and then COVID came, and it's like I don't know. It sucks. It sucks. It really sucks. But I feel in my heart that I always will have a special place in my heart for them, and yeah, that's true. I always will have a special place in my heart for them, and yeah, God bless, and moving on. So, driving, basically, this is the gist of that story. Driving super fast down the hill near my work because I got so good at driving that hill that I would go super fast. Okay, so basically, like I said, this restaurant was at the top of a hill, and it was kind of a back road where there was never pedestrians. If there was another car, you could see them a mile away. So, and it was it was 25 miles per hour, and going down that hill, I easily could hit 60 easily, and there was weaves, and I just got so good at hitting the apex where, and there was those median. There was like a median, where they put like in the middle of the road to divide the two lanes where there's like bushes and trees or whatever, and you had to go and dodge those. And I'm sure I was less than a foot away, but I got so good at hitting the apex and getting so fast down that hill. But it's like one of those times where a lot of the time before I go to sleep, I'll think about it and go, because I could have, I could have hit it. And one of people, someone I know, actually did hit it and flipped, and they're okay, but their car um, wasn't as skilled as I. But it's like times like that, and I still do it sometimes, where I'm a pretty good driver. I'm a really good driver. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I am a very good driver. And sometimes I'll just see this opportunity. I'm like, this guy's going there. I could go here. He's turning here. If I go there really quick, I could beat this light. And it's all legal, but it's something that it's like I have to weave perfectly, and it's like ugh. And something like and I'll do it perfectly, and then I'll like get home later, and I'm like like I could have easily not died, but crashed or something like that. I'm like ugh. and and I actually told my therapist about that. I'm like, I do crap, but I just can't control sometimes. While I'm driving, he's like, that's actually somewhat normal with people your age. I'm like, okay, but yeah, it's that was scary. And I'm sure there's other times when I'm driving, and oh my god, I just thought of one. I just thought of one. Okay. Another time where I almost died. And this one was like very, very, I could have very easily died. So me, Sergey, and Alex and Andre, I think it was just four of us, were driving on a road trip to go camping. And I was driving, and my car was filled, with all the the fixins. Had a giant cooler on top of my car, and we were vibing. We were having a fun time, and it was just the beginning of the road trip. Like literally not like like a mile or two from my house, legitimately. And now that I think of it, the saying is always, you're likely to get into an accident a couple of miles from your house when you're going on a road trip. So when I'm going on this road trip in May, I'm gonna pay close attention to driving. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna do that like throughout the entire time, but yeah, I mean, this was also when I was young and dumb, but basically, we were on this two-way highway, and there was a semi truck in front of us, and he was in the speed limits. I think 50. Yeah, 50, and he was going legitimately probably like 20 miles per hour, and we were like right behind him. We're like, oh come on, we're trying to go on the road trip. We're all excited. And my friend Andre was in the passenger seat, and we were going around this corner, and we were waiting because right around the corner you could see white waves in front of you. And he's like, "Okay, you ready to pass him?" I'm like, "Yeah, tell me," because where the left turn, he's on the passenger side, so he can see further. And I'm like, "Okay, just tell me when to go and pass him. Tell me if it's clear or whatever." And he's like, "Okay, it's clear." And as soon as I heard it's clear, I go right. I accelerate behind him or around him. 2-lane highway, by the way, 50 miles per hour. And as soon as we go, it was just like the worst. There was another car coming, and it was just hidden in the worst spot possible. And Andre was like, "Oh crap, no!" And I made the decision. I'm like, and I luckily it goes back to me being dumb plus a really good driver and really knowing my car. I'm like, I can make it. I go, and I pass him, and the car goes, and I'm like, and everybody's like, because it's like when you're young and dumb, and you almost die, but you're out scot free. It's like such a good feeling, man. I hope good vibes to all of those boys out there. I mean, for real. But yeah, that was one of those times where it was like, oh my God, one of those times where you're laying in bed and you're like, you think back to times like that and you're like, my Lord, that easily could have gone so sour, And obviously that would have been my fault, entirely my fault. Stupid, Riley. But you learn from your mistakes. So, yeah, driving super fast down that hill. So I only have one more written down. Maybe I'll think of another one as I go on. But so this is probably one of the, I don't know. It's a very scary moment in my life, and it has brought forward a phobia. Not this solely, but has brought forward one of the strongest phobias I have, which is mountain roads. Depending on where you live, you might know exactly what I'm talking about, or you might have no idea. But basically, where we live in the PNW, Pacific Northwest, we have a lot of mountains, a lot of logging roads, which is basically just random dirt roads that go up mountains. And what we do, like I said earlier, me and my friends would just find spots and get drunk and chill, and we would just go up logging roads and start a fire some random place up the mountain, like a little campfire or whatever. So it was probably around this time of year, I believe, maybe a little later, and we were going up this mountain road, and we didn't know what was up there. We were just going up and up and up until we found some cool places to chill. So we're going up, and then the road starts getting snowy. That's how high we were, and we're like, it's getting a little snowy. It's a little sketch. Like I did at the time have an Acura MDX, which is all-wheel drive, super good car to have on a road like that. But still, it's like, if it's snowy, we're obviously not gonna chill there. So we were looking for a turnaround spot, and with these mountain roads, it's like one car width. Like if there's another car coming down, you have to, one car has to pull to the side, like all the way to the side, like in the bushes and crap, to let the other car go. So we were looking for a place to turn around, and it was just getting more snowy and more snowy. I'm like, this is getting too sketch. I have to turn around midway through the road. So I think we waited for like a spot that was like somewhat width, somewhat wide. But they make turnaround spots all throughout, but obviously not enough on this spot. So I'm like, I gotta turn around. So we got some friends out, and I'm gonna kind of speed through the story just because it's literally traumatic to talk about. Probably the same with my mom talking about that swimming story, but basically you had to like do like an 80-point turn, where I'm turning around in this one car width spot. I'm going, forward, backward, and it's snowy as well. So basically, right when we're perpendicular to the road, and I reverse and I put it in drive, and as soon as I put it in drive, I start sliding back. And something that I forgot to mention is mountain roads are like mountain, road, cliff, mountain, road, mountain. Like there's no room for error. If you slip down, you're slipping down the mountain. Okay. So I started sliding down backwards, and on this snowy road, and thank God for all-wheel drive, because if I had front wheel drive, I'm not sure if it would have been enough to pick me up. But basically, I just put on the gas, and it picked me up from slipping down and carried me away. But it's like times like that where it's like, that could have gone sour, for sure. Man, there's so many cool stories I could say, but it's on the, it's on the legal side, so I'm keeping those for a later date. But man, it's like stories like that where it definitely makes you stronger, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So those are all the stories I have that I can think about at the time. So let me get into let me finish off this coffee, and I'm going to talk about really quick how the intermittent fasting has been going. So it's 10:42 right now. I've only had black coffee. So basically, in probably about, I think, let's see, probably about 27 or so days, I've only slipped up about 5 or so. And slipped up meaning had food before my window. and it's been doing good. The only problem is Valentine's Day hit, and also I've been craving chocolate bars. So what I said last time, I melted a bunch of chocolate and then froze it. So I made one giant chocolate bar. That was probably a mistake because now I have unlimited chocolate bars. So after dinner, I just gobbled down this giant chocolate bar, and like I said, Valentine's Day hit. We got a bunch of snacks and chocolates. So that's kind of thrown me for a loop. But now actually, sorry, I if you've been watching the podcast, you'll know that I'm in physical therapy. My therapist told me that I can now attempt weightlifting again, which is awesome. Because before, every time I weightlifted, my back would just be crazy sore later that day and the day after, a couple days after. So now I'm going to start weightlifting mixed with my intermittent fasting, mixed with physical therapy. I'm going to start getting shredded, and yeah, that's awesome. So that's going to get me back online. And hopefully the next podcast, I will update you how the working out is going. And let's pray that my back doesn't hurt after I weightlift. That is the true test, because ever since the physical therapy, my back hasn't hurt in this specific spot. So, but the true test will be how it feels after weightlifting. And I will update you guys on the next podcast of how that goes. But yeah, as far as intermittent fasting, I fell off the wagon a little bit, but I'm getting back on. So, the NFT haul for this week. Let's go through it, shall we? So I'm not sure exactly where I left off on, but basically, I sold some of the comics I had. Okay, so Fantastic Four Annual number 3 dropped, and so I think I already talked about this. I thought it was going to be a lot more expensive, so I bought one for $34, and now the floor price is $11. It's like $11, $12. So yeah, messed up on that big time. I did at least get a good serial number, but still messed up for sure. So I sold a couple of my comics, I forgot which one, and then I bought Spider-Man number 1. I have an Amazing Spider-Man number 1. I bought that. You guys know I bought that for $183. Jeez! Floor price is $135? What? That's insane. Floor price is $135. That's the lowest I've ever seen it. That's crazy. If I had more gems, I would easily buy like 2 right now. Ugh, that's crazy. So I bought a Spider-Man number 1. I don't know. It's number 9569. I thought it was going to be decent. I bought it for $15. Floor price is $12 right now. So yeah, didn't do that well on that. But the big pickups were, I bought Deadpool, first appearance common. I bought it for $122. Floor price is $109 right now. But I've seen those get up to $300. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I bought that for a flipperoo. So yesterday they released the No Time to Die Triumph motorcycle. Missed it on the drop, but when the market opened, they were going for like $90 to $100, and the retail was $87. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna go up for sure. Bought one for $95. Listed it for $188. Sold. So boom. Quick quick double trouble profit on that. With that profit, I bought a Day of the Dead child stamp, number 7010. And by the way, the Deadpool is 8087. So for the stamp, I paid $99. Floor price is $101. I've seen these get up to, I think, like $300 as well. So when the market eventually boosts, I'm going to sell the Day of the Dead child I'm going to sell the Deadpool, I'm going to sell the Year of the Rat, I'm going to sell the Batgirl, I'm going to sell I think that's all for now, and that should get me a couple thousand, well, I don't know, actually. That should get me 1,500 maybe, I don't know. Because the main goal is to get C-3PO. That's all I want. That's all I want. I mean, I'm blessed to have what I have. That's the thing, you know. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I've only put $200 in, and I have dang near, when the prices are up, over $10,000 in this. So I'm sitting pretty, but still. Let's see what the time is at, because, oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, so, ooh, 1 hour and 2 minutes. Something I did for this podcast is I hid the amount of time I've been doing, because last time I kept looking back and seeing how long I've been doing. I'm like, oh, only 40 minutes. I gotta do 20 minutes. I was in my head. So this time, hid it, and I just went until I had nothing else. I have nothing else right now, and I probably could figure out some other stuff. Oh yeah, one thing is I figured out the next tattoo I'm gonna get. I don't know if it's gonna be the next one I'm gonna get, because I have the secret one my parents are giving me. I'm not sure when that's gonna happen, but the next one I personally am gonna choose. I figured that out, but it's actually gonna be a secret, because yeah, it's gonna be a secret, but it's gonna be somewhere on my forearm. I think either there or there. I'm not sure, and I also want to get the text "do more," like right here, just so I can always see it. Remind me to do more. But yeah, I don't know. I like stuff like that. I like tattoos. I want to get more. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you all next Monday. Peace.